Hello class, welcome to the last part of our class. Welcome to StudyWave Academy, where education is without limits. Welcome back to class, and this is the last part of our class where we're going to continue discussing about drugs and drug abuse. So I was looking at the causes of drug abuse. What makes people use these drugs? Why do they use these drugs? So I talked about the first cause, genetic predispositions, where you find yourself you've been raised in a family where a certain drug has been abused for a long time or generations after generation, because maybe your grandparents used to believe this drug was something that deals with some historical or traditional norms or traditional factors. So because of what they believe, the drug use has been passed down from one generation to another. So your grandparents were using it, your parents, your brothers, your siblings. So you find yourself doing the same practice because it's something that has been there in your family history. The next factor I talked about is environmental factors. You grow in a place where it's normal to take some of these drugs. Like I said, I gave an example of bang, and I told you to do that research. I don't want to point out, but there's some countries where bang is very, very legal, very, very legal. So these countries, if you grow in such countries, you'll also find it normal to use these drugs because the people around you are using it, and it's not like it's not allowed or you'll be punished or jailed, so you use it. Okay, so that is another factor that can cause drug abuse. Then the next factor I looked at is mental health issues. For example, you're going through some trauma or depression or anxiety, and you just want to be peaceful, to feel the peace and just get some peace. What do? You start using this drug so that it can help you cope. These drugs will help you cope and just try forget your present situation. Then I talked about peer pressure, and mark my words, at this stage where we all, or let me not be general, where all of you are this stage at the 11th grade, this is a very very it's a very very risky stage if you're not careful. This is where peer pressure is very very high, and the friends influence is also high, whereby your friends are using a certain drug because they want to have some beneficial energies or some fun, or because they believe when they use the drug they'll be high, they'll be psyched up for some event you're attending. So because they want you to also go with them and also feel hyped up, so they tell you to use the drug because they want you to be part of them. So they will force you to use it and try to even encourage you to use it and even tell you the benefits of using the drug, and you end up using it because of the peer pressure. Then lastly, I talked about availability and accessibility. Easy access of drugs, or sorry, easy access to drugs can significantly increase the likelihood of abuse. When this drug is easily accessed, or it's not that far from you, or it's not something very hard to get, then you'll find yourself using it because you can easily access it anytime you want. So even when you become addicted, you can easily reach out to someone or walk to a shop or a certain place where they sell them and just get them very easily. So the ease of getting this drug is also a cause leading to drug abuse. Okay, now let's look at the effects of the drug abuse. So this, I'm looking at just the general effects of using these drugs. So we have physical health effects. So we'll start with the physical health effects. Chronic use of alcohol leads to liver damage, and this is something called the liver cirrhosis. So liver cirrhosis is a disease, or it's a liver problem caused by alcohol, and also it can lead to heart problems and increased risk of cancer. Okay, and then the long-term use of opioid abuse or use of opioids can lead to respiratory depression, constipation, and increased susceptibility to infections. Look at all those effects. Why do you want to expose yourself to certain effects and just make your life unbearable or just not comfortable to live in? So those are some of the effects there, and that is opioids and alcohol. We have also, those are physical effects. So these are physical effects. They can cause you to have liver problems, heart problems, liver damages, heart a risk of getting cancer. Okay, depression, constipation, and even increase susceptibility to infections. Then now we have mental health effects. For example, the cannabis or the weed or the bang, it's associated with increased risk of anxiety, paranoia, and in some cases, psychotic disorders. And then we have stimulant abuse leads to increased anxiety, agitation, and potential risk of developing mental health disorders. Look at those risks that you're exposing yourself when you use such drugs. Then we have social and relationship effects. So I've talked about the physical effects where the heart problems, liver, such things. Then the mental effects or mental problems like the anxiety, paranoia, psychotic disorders, mental health disorders, and even anxiety and agitation. Now I'm talking about social and relationship effects. Drug abuse can lead to strained relationships, isolation, and conflicts within families and social circles. Now, you've seen or heard some families where either both parents or one of the parents is abusing these drugs, and every day they're just fighting, quarreling, and you find that even the children are not at peace. You find that the house is always quarreling, people are always sad, people are always fighting. So there's a conflict between the families. These drugs make you just want to fight people. You feel stronger. You just want to use vulgar language, abuse people. So these are some of the effects or the social relationship effects issues that we are looking at. The decline in work or academic performance due to drugs leads to unemployment or academic failure. Now, you find people, most people will get their salary and take them all to drinking and clubbing and just using these drugs or buying more and more drugs. Then eventually they're chased out of the work because they can't perform well. They've developed some health issues, or they go to work high the way they want, or drunk, or hallucinating stuff at work. So you find them, they will be chased out, and which can lead to their unemployed. And even in school, when you're abusing these drugs, sometimes you find yourself falling sick. You miss classes, you miss school, and even you can lead to being suspended or expelled. And this is an academic failure. Then we have legal and finance consequences. Here, possession or distribution of illegal drugs leads to criminal charges and legal issues. Financial strain due to spending money on drugs, neglecting responsibilities, and potentially resorting to illegal activities to fund drug habits. Like I said, you find someone has been paid, they've done their work and they're paid, then they will use the money to just waste it on drugs and buy drugs, have fun, and then at the end, you start neglecting your responsibility as a responsible mother or father, okay? So that is another effect. Then lastly is risk of overdose and death. Overuse or mixing of drugs leads to overdose and potential death. High risk behaviors under the influence of drugs leads to accidents or fatalities, okay? So the more you use these drugs, not even the more, now here you're just overusing this drug and even mixing the drugs, which is very, very bad and very, very risky. It can lead to overdose and even your death. So just to talk about this drug abuse, understanding the cause and effects of drug abuse is very, very important in developing strategies for preventing, intervention, and treatment. Addressing these issues involves a combination of education, support system, access to treatment, and promoting healthy coping mechanisms. When you're stressed, there's a healthy way to do it. You seek guidance, you seek to see a psychologist, okay? So there are healthy ways to do such things. Now, let me move to ways to prevent the use of drugs. Now, we've seen these drugs, their effects, and all those. So let's look at the ways to prevent these drugs, okay? One is education and awareness. And the first one under education and awareness is early education programs. Implement comprehensive drug education programs in school to educate children and adolescents about the risk and consequences of drug abuse, like what I'm doing right now. This is what most schools should be doing. So they should implement drug education programs in school. So this is one way of alerting people and just letting the young generation know how much they will put themselves or their lives at risk when they use these drugs. So that's the first thing to do. Still under education and awareness, we have community outreach and awareness campaigns. Conduct community events, workshops, and campaigns that provide information about the dangers of the drugs, the dangers of drug abuse, and promote healthy lifestyles. So it's not just about the students alone, but also the community. As much as you're providing education in schools about these drugs, also do workshops or events or community events to just pass this information or campaign or just provide information about the dangers of these drugs to the community too. It's not just the students using it, but also the communities at risk of getting themselves under certain illnesses because of the use of drugs. So we should educate everyone and just make everyone aware of these effects. Still under education and awareness, there's parental involvement. Encourage open communications between parents and children about the risk associated with drug use and importance of making informed and healthy choices. Even your parents should be aware of how to monitor your actions and what you do when they're not there. So even parents should be encouraged to openly tell you about drugs, to openly tell you about the effects of the use of these drugs. So your parents too should also communicate. So there must be a communication between the child and the mother, or the child and the father, to just help you make informed decision even when you're among your friends. Then we have support system and resources. Under this, we have access to treatment. So we should ensure that there's rehabilitation programs. There's some people who are using drugs and they just want to do away with this lifestyle. So we should encourage them to seek these rehabilitation programs. So that is another way of preventing the use of drugs. Okay, so where these programs will help in counseling services, help individuals who are struggling with drug abuse to gain or get the counseling they need. So that is another way of helping them. Then we have support groups. In the community, people should also establish and promote support groups for individuals recovering from addiction. So there's some people who are recovering. There should be a support group that they can feel welcome. They can feel as if they have a family where they can seek guidance and support. Then we have mental health services. I've seen some programs for the mental health programs where people are providing these mental health services and addressing these mental health issues. And this is very, very important as it contributes to the sustainability of the youth and even contribute to substance abuse. Okay, so this is very important to promote this information out there. Then we have creating healthy environments, and that is promoting healthy coping mechanisms. When you're stressed, when you feel unhappy, there are ways for you to so basically another way to prevent the use of these drugs and substance is creating healthy environments. Just encourage the development of healthy coping strategies for stress. So if you're stressed, if you feel you're depressed or something, have create an environment that is healthy. Take a book, read. Take a novel that you love, read it. Watch your favorite movie. Just do something that you love, or a hobby or something like that. This will make you be engaged in something that you love, and avoid doing something that will risk your life and put your life on the line. Then still on creating healthy environments, we have strong community support. Here this means foster a sense of community and belonging. Provide positive alternatives and activities to prevent boredom. So if you feel that you're tired or you feel bored, avoid isolating yourself or feeling the feeling where you're lonely or something like that, and this might prompt you to use such drugs. So just avoid that and be around friends. There's also regulations and policy. Implement, like the government and the police and everyone that is in government should implement laws that regulate the use of certain drugs. Okay, another way to prevent is just encouraging responsible prescription. So if the doctor hasn't told you to use a certain drug, don't use it. Okay, just be responsible. Yeah, and then also public and private partnerships. Create communities among individuals and something like that. So before I end my class, I have a little activity here. Simple questions that I want you to engage and just do them, and this will help you understand more and gain more insight on this topic on drug abuse and substance. So do this topic and just be responsible, take care of your life, and just avoid peer pressure. Do your best.